Pairing our live stream to Zoom. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're going to get started in a couple minutes. We're getting our live stream started on LinkedIn. If you are joining us on LinkedIn, thank you so much. We're excited that you're here. If you're joining us directly through Zoom webinars, it's also a pleasure to have you here. But we'll be getting started in about 2 minutes. Where we need to hold music. I did figure that out. We can put the hold music on if we need to next time. Royalty-free Jeopardy music. Oh, wow. Excellent. We'll get started in 1 minute with today's webinar. Let everybody stream in. You ready, Andy? Yeah,
yep,
he's always ready.
Yeah.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you've got your favorite beverage nearby. This is a no judgment zone, so we're not going to ask what kind it is, but this is going to be a fun conversation. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar from months to minutes, scaling cybersecurity AI integrations with Synqly MCP. Now, a few housekeeping components to start. This webinar is being recorded. Am I sharing? I'm not sharing my screen. Goodness gracious. Wow, noob. This webinar is being recorded and is going to be available for replay. We're not going to put it behind any gate. Don't worry, it's going to be on YouTube, actually, probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll send out an email to everyone who's attending. Make sure that you have access to it and you can just watch it at any time. So if for some sad, unfortunate reason you must leave us a little bit early, don't worry, you can catch up on everything great that Andy has to share with you later on. If you have any questions at any time, I've got the chat window open up. I've got the Q&A box open up. Go ahead and pop them in there. If it is a relevant question for what we are talking about at that moment, I might pause Andy or myself to answer said question. Otherwise, we do have a Q&A section at the end. And as is standard with every single webinar, you're going to be receiving a follow-up email after attending this. It will have a link to that YouTube. And if we talk about anything specific, say Andy talks about a specific situation or something that was in the news, just if that happens, we'll provide links to anything that we've been referencing as well. And you'll be able to book a demo of Synqly MCP directly from that email. It will be non-GDPR compliant, but that's okay because it's fun that way. Let's go ahead and get started with who we are. My name is Richard Mellick. I'm the head of marketing over here. I am not the star of the show, though. That is to my proverbial left. Dr. Andy Curtis, please say hello to your patients.
Hey, everyone. I'm Andy Curtis. I'm the chief architect here at Synqly. I've been at Synqly since the very beginning of the company. Built a lot of the platform, of course, with a great team as well. And, just a little bit about me. This is my fourth early stage startup that I've been at in the networking and security space, have built integrations into all of those products, so have really felt the pain of integrations firsthand, and we are going to be able to solve that for you here and show you how to do it with MCP today.
I appreciate that, Andy. First, let's get started. For those of you that don't know who we are, welcome. Welcome to the Synqly world. Synqly is the connected platform for security, IT, and AI. Our unified API enables rapid bi-directional product integrations, reducing development costs and time to integration by upwards of 90%. Actually, we're seeing that number go up even higher, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We have built and are constantly adding to the largest integration ecosystem of cybersecurity and IT ops products and solutions. And we're dedicated to building a stronger, more connected cybersecurity integration ecosystem every single day. We are here to remove developmental barriers and unlock the full potential of cybersecurity ecosystems and technology platforms for companies of all sizes, from the smallest of MSSPs to the largest of enterprises. We're ultimately here to solve the integration problem for cybersecurity, IT, and AI. And we want to enable you, your organizations, your products, your partnerships in every single way to connect effortlessly. Can't say that word today. That's okay. But let's go and dive into the problem. There's a lot of AI out there. We're seeing the announcements every single day, the latest and greatest AI agents, AI tools, all designed to help our security and IT operations professionals to do their job better, have access to more data. And every single one of these companies and more has released their own iteration of AI. It could be an agent, it could be an LLM, it could be the actual AI fed data or analysis. But there is some problems that are coming from it. A lot of logos, a lot of disconnected components. We'll talk about that in a couple slides. But let's talk about what AI is. Now, this is more for me, probably more than for all of you guests. But there are different AI tools. When people say AI, they're talking about this giant umbrella. AI is a general concept of machines performing tasks that typically require human intelligence, so large data sets. That can include pattern recognition, decision-making, recommendations, and other things. We see that when we talk to ChatGPT or when we're using Google Voice or one of these other common AI tools. It's going off a large data set. Those are the LLMs or large language models, the ChatGPTs of the world. They're designed to understand and generate based off information that they can read, put that in quotes, they're not reading, but summarize and even reason with that text. They're great for asking questions. A lot of these GPTs are being used more than search engines to answer questions. They can draft content and they can help make sense of a lot of confused data. I, for one, use that for organizing my thoughts. I'll word vomit something and it will organize my thoughts into something that's actionable. But on their own, LLMs cannot actually do things. They can tell you what to do. But they can't press those buttons that you need to do. They can't fill out the forms. And in the security space, they're not going to be able to take actions across your security and IT ecosystem. That's where AI agents are coming in. As mentioned before, the AI agents are very common tools that are being released on a lot of different cybersecurity and IT ops platforms. These agents are for action takers that use the intelligence of the LLM to perform a task, follow workflows, and interact with the various tools within that ecosystem. Now, going back to my earlier slide, those agents are the most public-facing AI tools being released by security and IT ops vendors right now, and for obvious reasons. They're really good press. They get the news out there and shows the company is moving forward and giving you access, your employees, access to more data. The solutions have data, and the users need access to it, so that's the way to do it. But there's always a caveat. Those agents still need to connect to your existing ecosystem. They need to pull the data from the right place, push results to the right systems, and coordinate actions across all the tools that you are already using. Without that connection layer, they're working in isolation, just like the tools before them. So it's just another tool. We're starting to see the problem, I'm sure. Now that's where Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is coming in. Think of MCP as a translator and connector between your AI agents and all of your systems. They give your AI the context it needs in your environment and the ability to take action across your existing tools. It's not just about making AI smarter, it's about making AI useful inside of your ecosystem. And without that last step, without MCP, the rest never reaches its full potential. Now, Andy, that's a layman's term. Did I hit that right? I just, you are the doctor.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think you did a great job, Richard. The one thing I want to add here is that, today in attacks, the bad guys are using agents and they are going out there and attacking you at speeds that were previously incomprehensible. And so in order to respond to that, you need to use AI as well. Humans in the loop now are just too slow. So you need that agent to be able to autonomously make decisions and integrate with all your different security products to do that rapidly rather than, messaging a human, hey, can you go, reset this user's password or can you lock them out of this system? The agent has to be able to do that on its own. And that's really where the Synqly MCP comes into play.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I mean, this is, and we're going to introduce Synqly MCP in a quick second. So, don't jump my slides too much there, Andy.
Sorry.
Integration challenge. There are problems with the AI tool chains, and there's cost, inevitable cost that comes to solving those. We've all seen the explosion of AI tools in security and IT. Every vendor has that AI assistant now. Every dashboard is smart, and all the data is at your team's fingerprints. But here's the problem. They're all living in their own little world. Each one has its own data set. Each one has its own workflow and its own way of doing things. And while they might be great on their own, they're not talking to each other, which means neither are your teams. Security is running one playbook. IT is running another. And there's a gap between. That's where things are getting lost. That's where delays are happening. That's where incidents are slipping through. Data is collected, but not properly applied, not properly analyzed, and not coordinated with other tools. So when an incident happens, could be a security breach, an IT situation, when you have all this data, if you're having to go from one AI agent to another, and parsing, analyzing data on all these individual silos, you're running into some workflow issues. But it's not just, sorry. Now, even if you want to connect them, it's not easy. Building integrations is incredibly difficult. Andy can vouch for that. He's been doing it for, it seems like decades for him. I know he doesn't look at, he looks great for 25, but it has been decades of him working on integrations. And his whole team, our whole team is dedicated to it. Integration development is not easy. It's not just about the upfront coding. It's the ongoing maintenance, the constant API changes, the endless testing. What if a schema changes? You have to make sure that's mapped properly. Every time a vendor changes something, you've got to update it. And that's engineering time that your organization cannot afford. Right. For vendors, that means slower time to market. For customers, it means more friction every time they try to deploy multiple tools. And honestly, it's creating integration debt. The more point-to-point connectors you build, the more fragile and expensive your ecosystem becomes, because on top of that, your engineers are not just spending time developing it, but also monitoring it and managing it. And they're already spread so thin, keeping up with everything else. By the way, they need to still be building your product. So the challenge isn't just about connecting the tools. It's about doing it in a way that does not drain the resources of your organization, your engineering team, your financials, slow you down, or break every time that something happens. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. Connecting AI, agents, LLMs, all of these tool sets in a way that is actionable for you and your organization. So introducing Synqly MCP. Synqly MCP is the first model context protocol specifically built to support integration development in the ever-expanding cybersecurity and IT ecosystem. Security vendors, IT operations teams, MSSPs are benefiting from faster time to market, stronger integrations, and a more accurate data mapping with access to the largest cybersecurity integration ecosystem. It is an AI-native design, purpose-built for agentic AI to read, enrich, real-time data streaming and queries, so you can ask multiple questions. I think Andy's going to showcase that in a little bit. Instant access, that ecosystem that we were talking about. Actionable commands. Think about it in terms of, hey, I need access to this, or I need you to create this. Very simple, enables your team to work faster. Conversational integration setup is massive as well, because instead of having to remember specific commands that might be only for this tool set or that tool set, you can go in and create your prompts as needed and repeat them. And the development experience is very streamlined. Our MCP will integrate into your AI tools like Cursor and Claude and a few others. I'm sure we haven't tested ChatGPT, but apparently you could put it Synqly MCP in ChatGPT. We haven't gone that far. Now, I have talked a lot about this. This is all, surface level. Let's dive into it a little bit more. I'm going to pass the reins over to Andy, and he's going to get into more of that technical side.
Cool, thanks. So yeah, I just want to describe how you would use the Synqly MCP within your product. So in your product, you should have an AI agent that can do these things that we're talking about, make autonomous decisions, analyze data, find threats, you know, possibly even take response to those threats. And in order to do that, you have this agent that's running and it's taking in some input, whether this be prompts from you or data about your environment. You need something coming into the agent. And the agent, it's trained with a limited set of data and only has access to what it knows and what's in the context that you sent it. However, the Synqly MCP lets you extend that greatly to essentially include all the information from every single one of your security products or your customers, in this case, security products, into that agent. So the agent may decide, looking at some data, some prompt, that, hey, this user looks like it's possibly, been compromised. Let me go get more information on that. And that's where this retrieval piece comes into play. Your agent can autonomously decide, I need more information to make a decision here. So it can query your user's identity systems, or it can query their EDR systems and gain additional information, context about the world, and use that in its processing. Then the other thing that we offer with the Synqly MCP is tools on top of that. So now your agent can take action. So for instance, if it decides, yes, this user really was compromised, it could force a password reset on that all through the Synqly MCP server. So we're exposing these tools that let it take action in your customers' environments all on its own autonomously. Or, even another action it can do is quarantine a host if it decides, look, this host really looks like it has malware on it from all my data that I've gathered about the world using that retrieval step. I need to quarantine it so that it's isolated before it's too late. And the final thing that our MCP has is memory. So your users can set up integrations once, the Synqly MCP remembers those, and it will use those in the future. You don't have to go through painful like setup steps every time. We remember everything that it has set up and can just reuse those integrations out of the box from then on. So that really turbocharges your agent so that now, rather than being, limited to what data it was trained on, what data you can scrape about the environment, it has access to 60 plus integrations and can really query and dynamically learn about your customers' environments and take action on its own. I think that summarizes it, Richard. Uh, so let me jump into a demo here if that's all right. All right, cool. So to explain how this thing works, I want to set up a scenario, and this is actually a scenario that one of our customers has implemented. But today I'm going to just set it up with a fictitious company. Let's call them Easy Compliance. And they're a governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC company, and they have a simple initial use case for their integrations. What they want to do is they want to scan their customers' environments and find endpoints that are out of compliance. And then, so that their customers know, hey, I have to go resolve this, they want to create a ticket for each of those endpoints that's out of compliance. Okay, and now let's just suppose Easy Compliance is a early stage company. They have one customer and they're just using Tenable vulnerability management in Jira right now. So if Easy Compliance was to go the traditional route of building these integrations, they'd have to invest a lot of engineering time. My estimate would be at least 1 week for the front end of this, and then 3 weeks for the back end. So about a month of engineering time, and this is per integration. So 2 months total, 1 month for Tenable, 1 month for Jira. And then they have to write documentation on top of that. And not only do they have this initial, like, quite expensive and slow build out time, they, on top of that, are they taking on that maintenance burden that Richard mentioned? All of this is debt that they're accumulating. Now they're on the hook for, Tenable changes their API. They are on the hook for updating their integration. and they're on the hook for testing it, keeping their docs up to date. It's really like quite a large investment, and over time, that maintenance burden is going to be larger than that initial time to build the integration in the first place. However, there is a better way, and so the better way is Synqly. Synqly, we have a drop-in front end for this configuring these integrations. So that's about 2 hours of development time for the front end. And then we have excellent APIs, SDKs, documentation, open source examples for how to build these integrations to Synqly. So it's only 2 to 3 days to build that backend. And then Synqly takes on the maintenance burden. Easy Compliance doesn't have to worry about it as APIs change, as drift happens in data schemas. Synqly handles all of that. And Synqly provides a suite of visibility and troubleshooting tools. My initial estimate in this time to build these integrations, that didn't include that. That was just like the bare bones integration. So we're offering this additional functionality on top of that. Now your customer success team can log in and to the Synqly UI and help your customers troubleshoot. We have all that data right there at their fingertips. Okay, so let me show you how easy it is to actually build this integration using the Synqly MCP. So we're going to just actually straight up build it right now using natural language in the Synqly MCP combined with Claude. We'll run this integration. So if you remember Easy Compliance, what they wanted to do, they wanted to find vulnerability findings. So let's tell the LLM that we want to query vulnerability findings. And we want this for things that are out of compliance. So let's say where, the severity, if I can type, is critical because we don't want to waste time on, like low or medium findings that aren't going to make things out of compliance. So we only want those findings where severity is critical. Okay, and now the second part of the integration task is to create this ticket. So let's create a single ticket summarizing this. And then we want to tell it, well, let's use project. I already have a project, for FedRAMP compliance Fed with priority urgent, since you do need to close these things with some urgency, and type task. All right, so I just sent that prompt to Claude, and it's thinking through how to best implement this. And what you can see here is it thought for a little bit, and then it called a tool. And this is implemented by our MCP. This is the query the vulnerability findings tool, and it returned a bunch of data about what findings were out there and where the severity was critical. So if I expand this, you see this is the actual call to our tool, and here are the results that we returned. And Claude's thinking was like it summarized it. It found these different CVEs in the customer's environment. And then now it used our next tool from Synqly to create the ticket. So it actually went out, created a ticket, and it just summarized the results here. So let me switch over to my Jira, refresh, and we should have a new ticket created. Cool. So you see it. And Claude did a great job summarizing the findings. It said 8 critical vulnerabilities were identified and they require immediate attention. Told us the CVEs in the environment and what actions we should actually take. We need to apply these patches so that everything is up to date, and we'll resolve these. Cool. So at this point, we have that integration built. And
I,
that was one single prompt, and we have a pretty complicated integration done.
I want to highlight something there though, Andy, as I steal the screen back from you in a second. This is live. This is not a recording. So what we are experiencing right here is a live scenario, and it's not sped up or slowed down. So what we're seeing is real, and I think that is incredibly powerful for us to remember as we are going through this whole situation of understanding how powerful Synqly MCP is when it comes to connecting multiple ecosystems and being a tool uh, for everyone. So, but we'll get back to you on this
Nice.
scenario because there's a little bit more that we want to show off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so now the next steps for easy compliance is they grow as a business. They don't just need to integrate with Tenable and Jira. Unfortunately, their prospective customers use a wide variety of tools. So as they grow, they need to add integrations to all of those different tools. So they, might need Tanium or Qualys on the ticketing side, ServiceNow, Zendesk. All these things their prospects are going to want in order to close deals. So Easy Compliance has to take time out of their roadmap away from their core value to build those integrations. And again, each of those integrations is going to take about a month of engineering time and add that maintenance burden. So easy compliance, they're spending a lot of engineering hours just to close these deals. And these integrations, they do provide value, but they're essentially, they do the same thing for each category, right? So the great thing about Synqly, if you can advance this slide a little bit, Richard, the thing with Synqly is that we save you all that engineering time. Once Easy Compliance has integrated to Synqly, they already have integrations to 6 vulnerability platforms and 8 different ticketing systems. And that's just like right now, they have that from that one integration to Synqly. But as Synqly grows, we're building these providers out all the time. Each week, we're adding a new provider on average. And not necessarily in these categories, but like across the whole security landscape, like EDR products, SIEMs, app security, cloud security. So we're greatly expanding the footprint of what Easy Compliance can connect to. Now, so these availables become available, or these integrations become available to them over time. They can do whatever validation, testing they want, partnership building, and then go ahead and enable those without spending additional engineering time. All right, cool. So at this point, we have achieved like 90% time savings, or possibly even more. Like Richard said, the actual engineering effort that went into that integration, you saw it live. That was the entire engineering effort. I think like product managers could do that. It's so easy. It's just
Our
a couple.
CEO can do it.
Yeah, our CEO, Richard even can do it. I mean,
Yeah.
marketing guys, they can handle it, right? Um, so let's suppose now that Easy Compliance, they want to expand to another use case, another integration use case, and now they want to connect to identity products. And this time they want to find users that are out of compliance. Again, using the Synqly MCP, now that they have that initial connection to Synqly, this is possible really in minutes or hours with a little prompt engineering instead of days. So let me show you this. Let's build this integration live right here on the webinar. So we
Yeah,
want to
share your
find
screen
users.
again.
Sorry?
Share your screen too.
Oh, I thought I did. Sorry. It says I'm screen sharing.
Oh, is it? Let me it's my bad. It is. Yeah, there it is.
All right, awesome. All right, hopefully everyone can see that. So now let's think through our integration use case. We want to find these users that are out of compliance. So let's find admin users that do not have MFA enabled. And again, we want to create a ticket for these. So let's put that. Create a single ticket for each integration. Results. And the other thing that I didn't mention here is we can do this across multiple products at once too. So, previously I had just used one product. It was actually Tanium that was providing these vulnerabilities. But, if your customer has multiple identity systems. They're a large organization. They use a lot of these different tools. We can add that here. So just to our prompt, let's make sure that we put across all identity integrations. Okay, create a ticket. And let's put this ticket, create the ticket in the bed project again with priority urgent and type task. So again, one simple prompt, and the LLM will use the Synqly's tools to be able to figure out how to do this. So first of all, what it's doing is it's listing the integrations that this customer has. And again, there are actually two different identity integrations set up here. There's Entra ID and Okta. So it's going to go ahead and like start querying both of those. And that's again super simple for it to do using the Synqly MCP tools. So it's trying to query users from them. It needs to query groups. So it's trying to filter for like, give me users that are admins. Let me find all the different groups. So this one is definitely a harder task for the LLM. And especially because my prompt was very broad, right? I just said, like, do this where MFA is not enabled for admin users. It had to really like do a lot of different things there. It needs to be able to filter for admins, needs to be able to filter for users where MFA is not enabled. And then the other thing is that it might need to get additional details about some of these users. So you can see that it went out and grabbed the groups and so forth, but then it's calling just to get details on particular users to really find, for this user, what is everything that we know about them from the identity system. So it's churning through here, uh, went and found a bunch of different users that didn't have MFA enabled, and now it's actually going out and creating that ticket. So you can see like its thought process is here it found, one user where MFA was not enabled in Entra, and it actually found one admin user in Okta where MFA was not enabled, and now it's going out and creating those tickets. So the first one, it created a ticket, for Entra, and now it's creating that ticket for Okta. So again, if I go over to Jira, I have to refresh to see the new tickets. I have these two new tickets, and it's summarizing like the findings. Like Okta has admins that are where the accounts are not properly secured with MFA, and it added the same thing for Entra. Now, if we want to do like a little more on this, we can ask it to follow up. So like, let's just ask it to add a comment to each ticket, and we want to explain to the users, why this is a problem, right? Like, why should all your admin users have MFA enabled? Hopefully they understand it, but in case they don't, we can add a comment to each of these tickets, explaining the impact um, on SOC 2 compliance readiness. So this is going to use, the LLM's existing base of knowledge about SOC 2 to go ahead and prepare like a little bit of explainer. This is why you should have these things done. But then it's going to use the Synqly MCP to call a tool to go out and add these comments. So it's calling, our create comment tool. And if I go back to my ticket, once this one's done, I should see a comment down here. Yep, cool. So, it added comment about here's the compliance impact assessment, and here's the different controls that this violates, the audit implications, compliance readiness, and time, when this thing needs to be resolved, exact timeline here. Cool. So, with two simple prompts there, again, live, we built a full integration that does, this is a real use case done by our customer. And, we built it right there in a few minutes.
Right. I mean, I think that's the power of MCP is definitely delivering the ability to build not just a surface level cursory integration, but actually expand on it and have actionable insights that come from that relationship between the products, right? And we're connecting those products and all those various tool sets into a central standpoint. Now, we are, of course, not the LLM. You have to integrate Synqly MCP into your chosen LLM. Claude is our preferred one, but if you have one, we can work with you on that one. But it is enabling security and IT operations teams to actually be actionable. We've seen a lot of tools in the past that have claimed this. They have claimed to be that integration component, bringing all the data together. But the reality is they are still siloed. And it's going to be Synqly MCP that's going to deliver that ability to connect workflows and connect ecosystems and connect data in a way that security and IT teams can actually start cutting through their tickets and the noise and the incidents and be more effective. We're not trying to replace people, of course. We're trying to make the tedious jobs that are so common within the space be positively impacted by artificial intelligence. So at this time, we haven't had any questions pop up in the Q&A yet. Alon, actually, I just asked one. For EDRs that have some time-gated API docs and complex query languages, how does the MCP handle these kinds of tasks?
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, so I'm not necessarily sure what you mean by time-gated API docs. If you could follow up in the chat with that, but I'll answer the complex query languages part. So part of the Synqly product is that we have a normalized query language that works across different products. So you saw a little bit of it where I was querying. Oh, okay, thanks. Oh, okay, I'll get to that. But for the query language, you saw where I was, querying for vulnerability findings where the severity was equal to critical. And I just typed that in, like, right, I want like severity equals critical. And under the covers, what the Synqly service is doing is we are translating that to all the different products that we integrate with. So we know, for example, Tenable, they do actually use the word critical and Tenable, but Qualys, they use an integer 5. And so we're doing that under the hood. We have a, very expressive query language that we take, and it, of course, depends on the product domain. So like EDR queries, you're going to be able to query by host name or IP address, lots of things that you can go to docs.synqly.com to check out everything you can query by. But really that is the heart of how it works is that we've built this API layer normalization, query layer normalization, and then response normalization as well, where we're converting all the responses back to OCSF. Okay, and then for the gated API docs, again, Synqly, we've built integrations to all these different products. So our MCP actually doesn't know anything about the different product documentation. It has extensive knowledge of the Synqly product. So we can, by calling our APIs, we've under the, done a lot of work, like a lot of engineering time into understanding these like EDR docs. We do have partnerships with like 99% of the products that Richard showed earlier. And so we have access to those documentations. We've built that into the Synqly service. And then the MCP just needs to know how to interact with our service, and it doesn't necessarily need this product-specific knowledge.
Right. And it hasn't been asked here, but you and I talked about this last night. I want to highlight this component is that once you are connected into that connector and we add on a new provider into our integration ecosystem, you as an organization, if you are using, say, our EDR category. As we add more EDR tools, you now have access to those EDR tools. You have to establish a relationship with the organization itself, become a customer of that product. But your ability then to bring that product into your purview through Synqly MCP and our unified API is expedited immensely because there's no further work. It's already done. The unified API has handled the work. So Say you want to use multiple identity tools, or you're going to be using multiple cloud security tools, um, or in some cases, asset management, where you want to query your endpoint tools to be an asset manager. We have that capability in delivering through that unified API that you are connected into. And once it's connected, once you've connected once, you're connected to all of them inside that category. I just want to continue to emphasize that component there. And that initial connection for you to build out that integration, whether you're using Synqly MCP to build your integration into that unified API, or you're going to go through our team and manually build that integration, we're still talking a 90% reduction in expenses and savings for the organization from a manual development perspective, because we have done the work. This is our job. We eat, live, breathe integrations, and we're maintaining and building and expanding this ecosystem on a daily, weekly basis. So no other questions have popped in. Just one more housekeeping thing. You can continue to connect with us. If you're headed to Black Hat in 2 weeks, we are as well. While we do not have a booth, we are going to be wandering the show floor, talking to all of our partners, meeting up with them, but we have slots available. If you want to see MCP in action, you want to dive in, you want to ask the hard questions, you want to talk about technical partnerships or relationships, or bringing Synqly into your ecosystem to power your integrations for the future, this is the opportunity to do that in Las Vegas. We'll be at Moscone. If you go to synqly.com, click on our events, you'll see our Black Hat page. It will also be in the follow-up email I will send out tomorrow. We also have Beyond the Build, Synqly's quarterly webinar coming up next month. That invitation will also be in the email. We're going to be going through everything, almost everything, there's a lot, that the engineering team, Andy and his team, and Steve and his team have developed and released to the world. We'll give some demos, but we're going to go through that. We peel back the curtain. We want you, our customers, our prospects, our friends, family, all to understand what it is we do and how we are changing the integration platform, the unified API market on a daily basis. But with that, if there are no other questions coming in, I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you for joining us today, whether you are on LinkedIn, you are on YouTube, or you're joining us here on Zoom. We do appreciate it. Andy, any last words?
No, yeah, I think that's
Excellent.
it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everyone.